Good morning, this is totally random.
Featuring Franz Maruna and Andrew Embler.
February 3rd? 2nd?
3rd.
February 3rd, 2012. Hello, thank you for joining us. Your weekly news and tidbits and what's going on with the concrete5 community show with Franz and Andy. Let's see, pretty good week here. Got a couple of news items, a bunch of PRB stuff to go through, some questions we're going to answer from the forums, and hopefully you guys are going to come up with some questions in the chat room. I'm going to hang out in IRC today during Totally Random.
Ooh,
exciting news for
mixed
you.
Media.
Mixed media, all the chat rooms we can get. So, yeah, start thinking of things to make us answer, and we'll get right into it. In interesting news, past 100,000 project pages.
Awesome.
107,000 sites have connected to the community to make a project page. So I'm sure some of them are staging sites or whatever, but still, that's a nice number.
Yeah, totally.
In other news, Minkus has started, with his Boundless Energy, a little initiative to try to get a list together of all of the third-party CMS review sites that either have a listing for us or should have a listing for us. A lot of those are somewhat out of date because,
some of them reasons. Some articles I see people commenting on are from our sort of public beta in 2008.
Yeah, no, I still see the C5 logo.
Yeah,
and,
it's probably good to get those things.
So we're trying to make a list of those, and we want to go through and we'll make sure we have logins and do a better job of trying to keep all that stuff up to date and maybe get some help from the community for doing that. I think Julia is posting something to Chit Chat right now with the ones we know about, and everyone should get up on that and contribute more. As soon as we have the link from Julia, we will post it to the chat room. It'll be in Chit Chat. In other news, there was a really cool infograph posted by Whitwag, I believe. This is awesome. Thank you very, very much. These infographs have kind of taken the rage since Good Magazine introduced them a couple of years ago, and it just puts things in very visual terms that anyone can understand while walking down the street or sitting on the john. But much of the data in this is pulled from that Water and Stone white paper. Some sort of those testimonials aren't, but yeah, pretty graphs about how they were growing, and very, very nice looking. I think this kind of stuff really helps the make the business case for concrete5 to the busy agency owner that says, why would we just build it in Drupal or WordPress?
Put it in pictures.
Put it in pictures for me. Give me a bar graph. Concrete5 at the top. We love this, so actually he gave us the PSD for this, and I think we're going to try to bring in some other data that we have from our own analytics and whatnot, and make an official one that everyone can enjoy. This is sweet stuff. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
That looks awesome. Big karma points for you, as always, doing great stuff. That's my news. I think that's what that's the big news this week. Do you have any karma picks, Matt?
Karma machine.
I do have a karma pick.
And the weekly karma winners, come on down.
All right, so we have a photo from Bertoltron. Probably butchering that name, but here we go.
Bertolton.
We got a sticker on a guitar case, so that will probably get around, get out
That's
there.
a Guinness sticker. It looks like that's just a Guinness label. It came
Guinness
off
label.
through the power of drinking. Nice. Wow, that's
Sweet.
excellent. We
Good
are
company.
big fans of the creative energy that goes into playing music. It used to be an interview question here of, well, what instrument do you play? Now we do have staff members that don't play instruments, but they make up for it in other creative pursuits. So, what is it, Matt at WordPress? It says code is poetry. Man, code is music. So keep on playing guitar. The Karma Machine ran, or is that last week? Yeah, the Karma Machine ran.
Yep.
Looks like, yeah, I mean, I get it, but,
E-commerce
close for music.
Nice.
It looks like Fix. One for a message of the day for helping people. Really, how do you say that? FXXXXX.
Like the band, The Fix. Anybody? No.
Fix is just Fix.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Promotion winner is what?
Uh,
Tragerman Sinkin?
Tajemshi Klian,
There you
I'm
go.
not sure.
Very far away.
We can say the last one.
Yes, and he won the Flash Gallery for promoting the project. Thank you. And Chad Strat for doing the work, brought home the contact directory.
Nice.
So thank you everybody who racked up karma points last week. Thank you particularly the people who won the categories. As always, concrete5 would not be where it is without the community. So we're deeply appreciative and keep up the great work. What's next? PRB?
Yeah, we do PRB. We've got some how-tos this week.
Do the PRB first,
All right,
and then
let's
we'll
do
get
the
into
PRB.
how would we do that.
Okay.
And now it's time for the peer review board.
Featuring new themes and add-ons.
All right, let's roll up the blog here and see what got approved.
Yeah, we've been trying, we've taken another look at the PRB recently, and it has definitely, with the release of 5.5 and the updating of our add-ons, it's fallen a bit further behind than we would like, so we're going to make a concerted effort. We've started really doing that over the past couple days, so expect to see a lot more back and forth. And as always, if any questions are left hanging to you, we are waiting for a response actively. So the sort of squeaky wheel gets the grease, I would say, is an adage that makes sense, especially in the PRB.
Whatever works.
And we're also pretty actively moving new people into those roles, right?
Yeah, we're approving new people who, I think in the last week about 4 or 5 people, maybe 6, have requested to join the PRB. They're all in. PRB is we've tried for the last few weeks just make it kind of part of our support challenges, just spend an hour every day doing that, and that I think is keeping things moving. But I believe what Andy is saying is that he is now looking at the PRB as well.
Yep.
So we'll probably be able to get some of that backlog out the door.
Yeah.
Get us back on top. But what do we approve? I think I saw a whole bunch of stuff approved
Oh yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, we definitely got a bunch of stuff.
So there's quite a payment gateway.
Yeah, is this a Malaysian payment gateway? Swoman Verkomaksu
like-
payments.
Dutch, I'm saying, or
Yeah, this is by Manio.
Mania.
Looks like it is a Finnish e-payment.
See? That was kind of in the neighborhood. Cool.
Nice. It's always
Payment
good to
gateway.
have these.
More the
it's
better.
always good to have more. The more the merrier,
Yep.
especially with e-commerce. So very good, very good. Nice
Thank you.
work, Mania.
All right.
Looks like we've got another image slider add-on, which is always pretty good. We have plenty of them now.
Thank God.
I know, right? These things really shine mostly in the demos I've found, if there is a working demo. Which we're loading up. No. Maybe this is less less exciting.
Well, let's go back to the screen share.
Yeah, sure. Oh, that looks better. Yeah, so your pretty standard image slider. If you want multiple images with sort of different little markers underneath them to let you skip to an image in a set, or
Arrow
pick
options
images.
and stuff.
Yeah, it's always
I
good.
like those little dots.
Yeah, I like those are nice on any number of sites that sort of need to show off stuff on the home page or sort of marquee landing page type things.
Yep.
I know we've got a couple themes from Michael G. I think they're probably the next. Yeah, there we go. Oh, there we go. The dot awesome themes.
That's awesome.
Yes. And these are 2 different color schemes for the same theme. And these are pretty great themes for any number of different types of sites that you want. And they do have corresponding mobile environments.
Nice.
So it's awesome indeed. Looks like it's got,
It is awesome.
His themes usually have built-in block components. So like he gives you a slider with the theme that is skinned nicely to the theme.
And just for, I guess, positioning clarity, I think it's fine to submit themes that are essentially different color pathways as different themes.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
Tony did that a long time ago. I know to a developer, it's kind of like, well, this is ridiculous. I could, change half a dozen CSS settings and it would look like this.
Yeah.
But to the person who's buying the theme, which is, 8 times out of 10 a site owner, it's like, well, I like brown, so that's what I want.
Well, and the built-in, you could make the case that the built-in customization, CSS customizations in Concrete5 could do some of this, but sometimes it's more than just like the background color on a page. It's actually the typeface, or and we like our theme customizer doesn't really delve into blocks,
No,
so
and you don't want to force someone who's looking for a solution to have to buy parts.
Yeah.
I think the model that we've often, the metaphor that we often bring up is Concrete5 is a lot like playing with Legos, and our marketplace is full of different types of Lego blocks. A theme kind of pulls those together into a pre-built castle or something, and that's a good thing. So. Just because it's all made of Legos doesn't mean that the castle is very different than the Lego tree with the Robin Hood guys.
I like those guys too.
Awesome.
Yeah, so those 2 themes are now approved and ready to go in the marketplace. They're all 5.5 compatible. And this is an add-on by Chad Strat. It's called Vimeo Channel. So lets you put in either a user ID or a channel ID from Vimeo.com and pull in a list of videos and play them in a page. Does what it says, works nicely. It's got thumbnails and works well. And as always, like Chad has good demos of himself using his own add-ons, and that's always helpful.
Nice. Yeah, you cannot stress the need for documentation enough on this stuff.
Yeah, just because, you can set these things up pretty easily, but sometimes they do require, if not even necessarily editing code, but to get the most out of these things, it sometimes helps to see a finished working example of what the developer was thinking. Next add-on that we have is called Chad Strat Live Search. This makes me laugh because it has Chad Strat in its name.
Nice.
Personal branding. He's branding himself.
Personal branding.
Saying, yeah. This is an Ajax search that you add to your site. It's very low on options, which is a good thing. It just sometimes when working with blocks that are derived from the page list, it kind of makes me wince a little bit, just because there's a lot of options in there, and sometimes it's a little intimidating.
Overwhelming.
Yeah. This one, there are no options, literally, which is awesome. And you just add it to your site. It searches against your page's index, and it honors exclude from search index. And it will either put the options in the page, kind of, or use like the bootstrap style like you're seeing right here.
Nice. That's nice. Someone was going on and on and on about this sub-project that we were building. They would not stop talking about, oh, there's this search for WordPress, Ajax search, and can you guys do that? Yeah. Yes, I'm sure it can be done, but it's nice to see it actually done.
Yeah, and it is nice because you can't screw it up. It just works with how your site is configured, and that's really good.
Yep. Sweet. Nice work.
And I think we got a couple more in here. We got a couple more themes. I approved this last night. This is called Ice theme, and kind of a cool blue palette. It's the Foreigner theme.
No need to sacrifice.
I'd buy a Foreigner theme. So yeah, this is a nice looking theme. This is cool blues and grays. Work with any number of sort of clean designs. There's another theme called Arbus. I'm actually not looked at this thing.
Yeah, I believe
Talakman, you did this, man?
Yeah, I approved this last night. Nice. Looks like a pretty nice.
This guy. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of arty photos.
Arty photos.
Arty photos is always from Talakman.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep.
I like the typography in this theme.
Yeah. Like that.
Yeah. Some of the photography.
Try not to click on too much of that there.
In a public broadcast.
Why do you do it so well? All right.
There's another theme called Show Off.
Good Lord.
I think the demo set for this one's a little more tame, but yeah, this is very nice too.
Wouldn't hold my breath.
This has a sort of a smaller site in mind, sort of a box feel to it. And here's the demo.
Cool.
Nice.
My monitor's really small.
Scrunched.
Yeah.
Once you look at the screenshots, I bet you they're cooler.
Yeah, they'll probably work a little better. My monitor is real.
Yeah, your screen does this thing. There you go.
Squished down.
It's like kind of like that'd be good for like a cupcake company. Or
Totally
something.
would be.
Yeah. Are there any sexy ladies in it?
What's you know?
Come on. Put them all in the last thing. All right, what else you got?
Okay, we got theme called Medieval Theme.
I heard this one being talked about around the office.
Yes.
I did not realize that we had approved it yet.
We're doing
just this morning.
themes for great spans in time.
I like it.
When's the
First
Roman
future
theme?
time.
Like the road.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet.
Got a bunch of different page types and a gallery built in.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I guess because it's got like the jousting vibe on the logo space.
It does. It does.
I always thought medieval is more gray to me. Than
Yeah,
brown
and
red.
bleak.
Yeah,
Like-
like the clouds and
Yeah.
you know,
Open air.
cauldron
but
of
yeah.
sludge for dinner.
All right, that does it for the PRB this week.
Sweet.
Cool. Nice to see a lot of themes getting in there. That's cool.
That is
Always
great.
good.
Themes sell. People need them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great work. Thanks for submitting everything, and thanks to the new members that have signed up to volunteer their time to approve stuff. That is very, very helpful. And as Andy said, we'll keep dialing up the energy that goes into that. Try to catch up with all the stuff that has happened post 5.5. Are we ready to do how we would do it?
Let's do it.
How do we do it?
Explain how we would.
Let's open up the do it thing.
All right, we got one of those.
Spark it up.
How would we do that?
All right.
Okay. What am I using? Here's the first question for how do you do it in IRC on my iPad is what do I use as an IRC client? I'm using Colloquy. Alright, save that.
Nice.
Colloquy.
This actually dovetails quite nicely with the theme I approved, or
Which autocorrects
a how-to. Oh, that's funny. There was a how-to approved just this morning from someone who basically, this is interesting, they just wrote a how-to on how to connect to IRC in order to get into the concrete5 chat room. So
Oh, nice.
which server to go on, how to do it,
Nice.
how to use a free web client, you know, so you don't have to download MIRC
Right.
or whatever.
About every 8 months, someone suggests that we should put like a Java-based web client on a page on our site linking to the IRC room. And I respond, I'm not sure that's the best idea. And then they instantly go, oh God, yes. I
Yeah.
like IRC, but there is an active IRC room. If you didn't know about it, if you go to Freenode, you can join the concrete5 or the concrete5-social
Ooh.
chat room, and yeah, you can
Nice.
gripe about the new interface in concrete5 social
In real time.
real time, or you can throw down mad love. And yeah, there's usually very, very helpful people in there who have really solid technical understanding of what's going on.
Really, yeah, willing
Not
to
a
be
bad,
helpful.
not a bad place to be. What else you got? How would we do it?
Let's see any questions in the format that I've.
Come on, people, stick some questions in there. We pulled some out of the forum that we could look at.
Yeah, I can check those out.
Check
Absolutely.
it out.
All right. So these are unanswered questions from the forums. At least they were unanswered as of a few minutes ago. But here's one that we found. Is there a way to convert Scrapbook to Stack?
Not automatically.
No.
By the sweat of your clicking finger, yes.
Yes.
But no.
I'm not sure your finger would break much of a sweat
I
while you're doing that.
doubt it.
You got like 1,000 things in a scrapbook or
Yeah.
something. But let's see. What from the what can you? Would the clipboard work from the scrapbooks?
No.
Okay.
No, it would not.
So you're going to be two windowing it.
You're going to be two windowing it
Yep.
and copy pasting it if you're doing content blocks or looking at the settings or
Yeah.
remaking them. And that does raise another point. You know, if you want to convert them to stacks, it's not going to take that much effort in actually making the stack. But if you're relying on, and then if you actually have hard-coded blocks based on their name in your templates, you can now specify the name of that block using the custom template dialog in the stack. So that's back in 551. And then you can change, if you want to hard code the stack into your template instead of the block by name, there's code in a how-to that we can go over in a second about how to do that programmatically. The only trouble you might run into, or you could just add the stack from your UI using the add stack functionality. The only problem you might run into is if you're using an add-on that is built to work with scrapbooks but has not been updated to work with stacks.
Right, in that case, you might just want to leave everything in a scrapbook.
Yeah.
Which still work, you just can't pull things from scrapbooks into pages anymore. But
Yeah.
scrapbooks
Yeah,
you
through
have
the
will
UI.
still exist, and if a block is using that, that'll be fine.
Yep.
What's your next question, Matt?
All right, so the next one looks like it's an installation question.
Ooh. Memory exhausted.
I've been trying to install concrete5 and keep getting an error. Allowed memory size being exhausted. What does that mean?
Is that 16 megabytes?
Comma on that's hard to see from here. 167. No, it's 16 megabytes.
Yeah. Up it to 32.
There you go.
Try again. And there's a memory limit setting in PHP that will let you do that.
We run into that sometimes doing
Yeah.
support for folks too. Some hosts out there that sort of cheap out on memory.
Yeah, I have gotten concrete5 to install locally on 16 fairly regularly, but it will occasionally error out with that in mind, especially if you've got perhaps more Apache extensions or you have APC installed as well as a low amount of memory. They don't, because it stores stuff in memory. It's hard to say how PHP is configured in that way. 16 is definitely pushing it. You definitely don't need 128 or whatever.
Which is the PHP setting we're talking about?
It's memory limit.
Memory limit. You should post that.
Yeah,
If you're watching, Julia, go ahead, post these answers. These are gold.
You may want to Google memory_limit to find the exact syntax. I think it's a ini_set memory limit. If you look that up, you'll find scores of posts about how to up PHP's memory.
There you go.
All right.
Next one.
Another unanswered question from the forums.
Shooting skeet here.
Internal search.
Swinging for the fence.
Oh no.
Looks like it's answered by Jordan Lev. Done.
Sweet.
Okay, what's the question?
Can anyone point me in the direction of an article regarding the internal search and how it works, what it uses, what it doesn't use, and what attributes it uses, if any, etc.?
That's a sweet how-to idea.
Yeah, well, in fact, it looks like Jordan does post that how-to, which is a little old. It talks about it kind of at a high level from the user's perspective. Here's how you can, add the search block here and add the search results block there. Normally it goes into a tremendous amount of detail as to a little bit of detail about what it's searching.
Does it say exclude? Exclude.
Some info on attributes.
Yeah, you can add the attributes. So yeah, if you want to include content from attributes, there are, in fact, checkboxes when you're making those attributes that are labeled reasonably intuitively that let you do that.
Yeah, this is a bit old because there's a few different. You can control what areas get searched.
Where do you do that from?
There is a system and settings page. It's called it's search something or other. Search indexing.
Search
maybe.
for search.
Yeah. Go into system and settings and look for the word search. You'll find it. And then beyond that, only blocks that explicitly return their content to the search indexer will be able to have their content indexed.
Okay.
So typically that's tiny MCE content blocks, but we ran into an issue where a guy was trying to search for his files using page search, and he put the files on the page with the file block, I believe, but that wasn't being returned because the file block had no would not
Files
return
in
the file
set
name,
block,
yeah, or something. So there's definitely more intricacies to search than what that.
So a block has to return something to the index, so not all blocks do that.
Yeah.
And the first part Laney was saying was that we don't search every block area within your page, right? So it's easy. Search is one of those problems where it feels like it should just work because Google does. But when you stop and actually think about how it works, it's rather difficult, and there's always a very good reason why it doesn't do what you would expect. So the reason why you have to choose which block areas you want to search is, if you have like a side nav, and in that side nav you repeat all page names, for example.
You're going to say about it's going to return every page on your site.
Right, about returns every page on your site. So those tend to mess things up. So I think by default we search like main content.
Yeah, I think we do. We whitelist and search a bunch of them. You probably don't need to tune that one too much. We do search. I forget what we do exactly.
Well,
I think
but if you're making your own theme and you're you're designing your site to work just so, you definitely want to think about which areas within the page you want to search and which ones you don't, because you can control that with concrete5.
Yep.
Next question.
All right, one more unanswered question. We got a question about 551, the clipboard and forms.
Ah.
Details, chatty.
It looks like he's trying to create a form on a page. He saves the page, he re-edits the page, and copies the whole form to the clipboard. He goes to new page and pastes it in from the clipboard. And then it seems like he's having trouble editing that new instance.
Well, that should work, right?
Yeah, it should work. If it's not, it's a bug. Probably because the form block is fairly complex. Yeah, it looks like if you click on the editor display tab, you get invalid permissions. We had a bug where you get this if you edited the form block in a stack. Because of the way the form block looks at the page it's on, it actually looks and says, hey, I'm not actually on this page, I'm on a different page. So that's a bug.
Yeah, could be. The best way to do this, if you find something like that, the best way to do it is you go to our site and click Instant Setup up top. And build out a quickie little tab. It takes you all of 2 seconds to fill in the 4 form fields there. Make a little demo for the bug. Actually do it there. You know, make sure it's clear. That it can't just be things get screwy. Or I see a lot of other forum posts that are about this type of problem, because often they aren't. They just look that way to you because you're freaking out. So recreate the thing on our happy healthy install. This is what I did. This is what it does. Hey, submit it to bugs. That's within developers. There's a bug tracker. Click that bad boy. There you go. You can see if you start a bug, it'll actually, if you go up to the right and click a report issue. You gotta do something. Anyways, it'll ask you for environment info, and if you've submitted it to C5 host, you can just say the C5 host site. We can get in there and check it. It makes it very easy to know that we're all working from the same starting point, if you will.
Yeah. Looking at that I would be surprised if that were not true. The level of detail I read, it looks very much like the same issue with editing the form in a stack. It would be the same thing. So certainly something you can get around right now, but we can fix that.
But yeah, if you find yourself posting something to one of the forums and not getting an answer on something like that, you should post it to bugs. That is the right thing to do.
Or evaluate what you've asked.
What would you ask?
Yeah. But yeah, that's reasonable. That is an example, from what I could tell, of a well-written.
That looked good.
Yeah, it had a sufficient amount of detail that didn't make us say, this seems screwy.
It's easy to not get lost if it's in bugs, though.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Got a question from Lucas Anderson. Any preliminary numbers on 551 auto upgrade requests?
What's the question?
I think he's asking how many people have auto upgraded to 551.
We've got the info. It's there.
Thousands.
Yeah.
He also has a question about thoughts on being able to include areas/layouts within a block. Like the expander block could include other blocks or layouts inside its content.
Performance nightmare.
Yeah.
Why is it like one answer?
Yeah.
Boof!
And just potential catastrophe. We've had sites go down because of the area splitter, because they somehow end up including areas on their own, like infinite magic eye mirror on top of a
Weird
mirror.
loops. Yeah, things that include other things. I just get like super meta solution to everything real fast. I want to make a block that includes blocks, that does other block stuff. It's like, okay. I don't know, the different times I've seen that kind of come up over the years, like one of them was like where layouts came out of.
Yeah.
Right, like I've got a content thing, I just need to add a survey, why can't I add a block within a block? Really all you want to do is add some functionality inside of the content block.
You just want to float the survey to the right.
Float the survey to the right. You don't need that. You don't need the content to own the survey.
Yeah.
So that's where layouts came from. It's not, it's far from perfect, but it'll get the job done. The more kind of,
and that's what Stacks is for, also, for being able to bundle up a bunch of blocks and
bundle
do
a few
stuff.
things. Stacks will let you do that in a handy fashion. I think that solves most of the things. If there's a specific use case or something that I'm not understanding, that that would be an interesting conversation to have. What else you got, Matt?
All right, we got one from Corbin. He asks, what are the plans for expanding documentation?
The plans for expanding documentation? Plans for expanding documentation right now are, we would like to explore a better looking API. We would like to see the API arranged in a way that makes a little bit more sense, which I think involves doing a bunch of changing a bunch of headers around in code. I think we started, probably didn't finish. We would like to see more inline comments happening there. I know some people started doing pull requests for that, and we approved some of them. But I think we've kind of lost. Everyone has collectively lost energy on that.
We need a formal push for that. I think
that would be great.
But that's coming.
So yeah, I mean, if you've got a few minutes and you want to put some comments in on code, that's always great. We'll happily review those pull requests, and if they're accurate, we will approve them. If they're inaccurate, often that it's a kick in the ass to fix whatever is fix it and post it. So I think that the API that exists now very much as an afterthought needs to become more of kind of like the granular where you go to solve a lot of these problems. I think there are some pages within the developers section, the developer docs right now, that probably just deserve to be API pages. They turn into a list of methods really quick. So I think some of that will get pulled out. I think that the developer section needs to turn more into like the first half of any O'Reilly book. So solving problems with concrete5, here's kind of how you think about something. A little bit, kind of a step up from where it is now, a step higher from where it is now. But not quite as general as kind of like the background and install pages that are like, oh, that's a framework or a CMS. But really kind of helping people understand better when to use a single page, why page types work the way they do, that kind of stuff. I think just more content there is going to be helpful. So at some point we will...
and better cross-linking into the how-tos.
Yeah, and then I think the more how-tos we have, the easier that gets to do, because we can see which how-tos are popular. We can see how other people are explaining it to one another, and sometimes that's just not how we would think of explaining it at all. So as more how-tos get stuck in there, we'll continually rethink how the how-tos list page displays them. I mean, that's certainly that's not a bad interface, but it's just a paging list. So I could see having more of like a landing portal-y type vibe on how-tos. You're also seeing us kind of fold more and more of that stuff into news flow. So you may not have realized this, but on the once a day page you get on a 551 install that has your stats in the corner, you can page forward. If you roll over to the right-hand side, you'll see a little arrow. You can page through stuff, and we're trying to keep that as focused on concrete5 as we can. For a while, it got a little kind of just kind of industry-wide and fun tidbits. We're trying to rope that into having only one kind of fun did you know tidbit per edition. And there's a fair amount of, hey, here's a how-to, or did you know, here's an interesting way you can solve problem X. And so that gives us a nice opportunity to kind of offer tips and tricks up to people who are using concrete5 sites and looking at traffic, see what are the things people are responding to or not. So all those pokers in the fires on the fire on trying to make it easier to understand concrete5 quickly.
Good answer.
Do you like that?
I do.
I don't know. It's just a lot of words, but it's the truth.
That's the truth. That's the goal.
Okay, I've asked this person for some more info, but maybe you guys know what he's talking about. He says, I'm curious as to what the reasoning is behind C5 not featuring the usual category systems that most CMS platforms use. Does that make sense to you guys?
Like Joomla or whatever, Mambo, and it has like topics and sections and things like that? Is that the question?
Yeah, I've asked for more info.
Probably because we decided to build a CMS that we wanted, that would solve our problems as website builders, and not wanting to make a community portal.
Yeah, I think a lot of those tools started as something else. So Joomla, for example, used to be Mambo. Mambo is kind of like a version of .NET Nuke that didn't out and out suck. Or I'm sorry, not .NET Nuke, PHP Nuke that didn't out and out suck. Post Nuke. And that was portal site. That was when Slashdot was really popular, and everyone wanted to run a news site. Content was king. It was the late 90s, early zeros. And so these were like online communities that were very much, even before blogging, this was like the news site. And so whoever built that was like, look, I need topics and I got sections. This makes sense to me because this is the problem I'm solving and I just need to solve this problem. And then I would argue, and often do through happenstance and good luck, that system got reused and turned into a content management system. Concrete5, on the other hand, is a toolbox that we sat down and architected from the bottom up to make our lives easier as a mid-sized interactive media firm here in Portland doing really design-centric sites for agencies. So our clients were demanding, reasonably cheap, and wanted things to be pixel perfect. So, and they were always different sites. So, it'd be a site that supported some brand, you weren't selling anything, it was just a marketing site, or maybe it's an online community with a whole bunch of news, or this or that. From our experience, the only thing that you can say about any website is that it's built out of pages.
Yeah.
They're all built out of pages. You can kind of fake that a little bit with Ajax and change the model up a little bit these days, but really come down to it, the only thing we can all agree all websites are is a bunch of pages.
The web is made of links.
Made of
links go to a resource.
Honestly, when we first started, I was against the hierarchy. I thought, hey, pages are just pages, just collections of stuff, man. And that's why you see CID shows up and collection shows up in parts of our architecture, because early on we were trying to think of pages really as just kind of bundles of stuff, blocks that might contain blocks and that kind of thing. And as we did that, we found that it was making our lives a lot harder. There's a lot of overhead, and just solving simple problems involved a whole lot of work. So we kind of dialed back from some of that and said, well, look, while there are times where it is more of a neural network than a hierarchy, you can always kind of look at a node-based network and say, well, here is the core hierarchy, and there's aliases outside of it. So the tree made sense to us, but roping people into saying, well, these are, you get 3 types of pages, topics, sections, and categories, and that's what you get, and you have to choose what you're using for what. That didn't make any sense at all. So if you kind of come from thinking like, well, I'm going to use topics for this and sections for that, what you probably want to do is look at page types and your ability to make your own page types. So the right way to think about it, I guess, would be if you like topics and categories and sections, just make 3 different page types, 1 for each, and now you can do the exact same stuff you would do traditionally, where you can say, look, I want to have these custom attributes assigned to these page types, and so now a topic really has a short description and related to other topics or whatever it might be. You can use attributes to extend page types. Make as many, whatever you want to call them, silos as you want. Just map them to page types. I think that's an answer to that question. Maybe I misunderstood that question, but that's what I'm going to guess. What do you think, Matt? Did I get it?
No feedback yet, but I think
right.
that's how I was interpreting it.
Cool.
The knowledge is washing over.
Town. Anything else?
Okay, yeah. John the Fish asks, what do we think about maybe a stack that is actually a template for other stacks, so I can have lots of stacks that are similar but have variations depending on templates?
So
Oh, dog.
custom template.
Do you like stack?
A custom
Let's put some
template
stacks
for
in our stack.
for a stack.
Yeah, I mean, that would be kind of cool. So if you added a stack, at its core, when you add a stack to a page, you're actually adding a block. You just aren't aware that it's an internal block that just references the stack. So there's no reason why we could not create custom templates for said stack and make it work that way. You could also just create custom blocks that reference the stack and do, like a gallery that lets you pick a stack and shows the stuff in there. So I think it's a cool idea. It's probably pretty far down on the list. I would say you could get the functionality today by just creating a custom block that let you pick a stack and then exposed options and templates that way. But it's a good idea. Yeah.
I've got a good one for you, Andy. Iconic Schema says, totally random. Can you please, all caps, add JavaScript callbacks for popovers and other common UI events? Followed by someone said, yeah, callbacks would be excellent. I had to override some core stuff to change the way a thumbnail from a file widget was generated.
There is a callback on uploading a file at this point that you can see if you look at our custom composer template for the sample content in 5.5. we make it so that whenever you upload a file through Composer, when you're blogging on concrete5 sample content, it pops open an editor that lets you resize it, and there's a JavaScript callback for that. I probably want to know the specific callbacks that people want, maybe in like a developer or beta thread or something
Sure.
like that. That'd be good.
Yeah, start a thread in beta as to what you want and why you want it. And get some good conversation going, and then things happen. Popover, he says.
What kind of popover? A menu, a help popover, a block menu, a
Template
file
for specific
menu.
blocks. No, that's a different thing. Add to area. Wait, what? Okay. Yeah, I think maybe write up what it is you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, there's probably a way.
I want to replicate the layout functionality. Why? It works great.
Even beyond that, some details might be.
Yeah, take a step back and tell us what you're trying to achieve. Chances are there might be a way to do it without you having to, do anything.
Yeah. And if there isn't, and it's good, we'll put it in.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Are you waiting on us? But we're going to do some how-tos? I thought we had some how-tos.
We have a few how-tos, yeah.
Just a big technical notes look at how-tos here before we call it quits for today.
Let's check them out.
Yeah.
And then we got a couple in there with some screencasts. There have been a few.
That's right, lunchtime learning.
Yeah, lunchtime learning is in full effect. And then we have a few submitted by members of the community also. And I'll just let Matt load it up. Refresh my memory.
Is that Freedom Rock, dude?
What's the date on that generate? I think that's actually...
This one here, the sample content.
Oh yeah, keep going down a little bit. I think we have even more. Okay, I think what we're starting on is the concrete5 add-on developers. This is a how-to on how to create your own concrete5 demo. So we actually had this before, and this is a cycling demo that resets itself every hour. We are starting to do this for our own 5.5 add-ons. We had this for a while, but the installation process has changed so much in 5.5 that we needed to rewrite it a bit. So this has updated code. Most of the how-to is actually the same, but it has been looked over and verified. So the code is fairly different, so you'll want to take a look at that. And then moving right along, we've got a how-to on installing concrete5 from the command line. This is another how-to sort of written in tandem with the previous one. This includes a completely new custom script written for 5.5.1, actually the GitHub version at this point, so it's very bleeding edge. But it lets you install concrete5 from the command line completely, and specifying any and all options, including a starting point, your database info, a target directory, a core to use, that kind of stuff. And it's got some examples. And for any white labelers, this would be a useful tool to have in your tool chest. Moving along, we've got an add-on, or a how-to for how to generate translation strings from your add-on. Actually, no, this is a how-to on how to convert my Django PO file into a file that can be used in concrete5 for translation purposes. So when you download something from mydjango.com, which is where we host all of our translations, it's not quite ready to be included as a translation file in your site, but it's very easy to get that working. And ultimately, this won't be necessary when we finalize our sort of translation platform, but in the meantime, this is a good way to make sure your site is internationalized. We've got a how-to on connecting, installing concrete5 on some kind of Oracle platform, which was rather impressive to me because I didn't actually think that's possible. But I suppose now that MySQL is running, it is an Oracle thing. That this is the world we live in. That's very detailed and a lot of useful info there. So that's something you need to do. You should check that out. next lunchtime learning session is a how-to on sort of some of the bits that have gone on with 5.5 in regards to its new installation procedure. So there's a whole lot in 5.5 that helps white labelers make their sites the way they want, and it's a lot easier to set up your own sample content in 5.5, completely customize the install process. These are called starting points, and this article goes into tons of detail about how you can do them, how you can create them, what they're good for, and then this lets you create starting points, and then combined with the command line installer, you can be a white labeling champ.
Yeah, this is fun, exciting, powerful stuff that you should all be thinking about.
Very detailed.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right now.
And then finally, there's one last how-to. This was what I just mentioned earlier. This is a how-to on how to connect to concrete5's IRC channel.
Thank God.
Yeah.
That's the hardest time getting in here.
You can get in there on the toilet with the iPad.
You sure can.
Anyone in IRC, you won't know whether the core team is on their toilet while they're talking to you.
You know, the create custom layouts output will allow for some different possibilities. You can package area. You can already do that, dude. You can save a custom layout as a preset, and then you can reuse that in other places that you pull a layout
You
from.
can.
So I don't know what you're talking about.
So we do have that link from Julia regarding getting concrete5 updated on the download sites out there.
Oh, yeah.
Let's show that off real quick.
Post that chit chat for us. There we go.
Here we go.
Thanks, Jules.
Cool.
So yeah, if there's any sites you've seen concrete5 listed on, please post them here, and we'll make a big Google spreadsheet and keep track of it, and try to get them to not use screenshots from years ago. That would be cool.
I posted to the unofficial Bootstrap Tumblr for concrete5, but they haven't put it up there yet. It's
Yeah,
frustrating.
man. They're busy tweeting. Cool. Well, unless there's something else super exciting that you're trying to squeeze in under the wire here as my voice continually goes a little higher and we get close to ending the show.
Yeah, there's a few questions. We can probably wrap up. I don't know if these are ones that will take hours and hours.
You in the back with your hand up.
All right, Lehik wants to know, can you give any insight on new features planned for upcoming releases?
Sure. Wow. What's working on next? Advanced permissions is on our radar of things that we will be looking at in a future version. Advanced permission works fine today, but that's actually one of the few things that exists from like Concrete version 4 and before, with very little.
Very
little
been
change.
touched up visually, just a little.
Just
mostly the same.
So there's things in there that, what's the right word? It's not quirky because it works consistently. They're just it takes a fair amount of poking around to figure out what, for example, the admin flag actually is for.
And we have to ask each other for
to remind ourselves, like, what can I do if I'm in the admin permission group here? So that's kind of weird. So we know we want to kind of bust out, I don't know, if you haven't looked at advanced permissions, there's a switch that you can turn on in a config file, that'll turn on advanced permissions. Then when you go on permissions at a page, you get like a big grid of users and groups on one side, and things you can do across the x-axis. Those things you can do don't make a tremendous amount of sense. I mean, some of it does, read, write, but then there's like,
even read at the
even
page
read,
level.
like what do I need to read? So those are like labels are a little odd, and we can have a few more of them as opposed to grouping things into approve or into admin. We're thinking about having some type of centralized way to manage who can add which blocks to which areas by default.
Yeah.
You can do that at a specific block area today. This group can only add the content block, but that group can add anything.
It's painful.
The tools are there, but it's a little painful. I remember like 2 years ago, someone submitted to the PRB a centralized way to do that, and we denied it just because we don't want add-ons that rethink permissions and kind of core stuff floating around the marketplace, making it harder for everything else to work. But there is an element of truth to that, of like, gee, I'd really like to be able to change that in one spot.
Jordan has submitted a pull request, or he did right before the 5.5 sort of rethink design-wise, a pull request to do that and to reorder blocks. it's a good idea, definitely. And we will be solving as part of this.
Yeah, so that'll get rethought a little bit, and we are, I think just moments away from 2 different clients saying, look, we want this enough to kind of help fast track its development. To also include exclusions. So right now permissions work in an inclusive way, and this is a problem you will be intimately familiar with if you've ever tried to make a login block that disappears once you've logged in. You can make a block, you can say, I want guests to be able to see this, but registered users not see it. But since a registered user is also a guest, they will always see it. So there's no way to say, not in our permission system today. So we've done some thinking about that, and we've kind of gone through the different ways you can solve it. And some of them are very powerful, but are going to be a performance nightmare and really a lot of power that no one actually needs. The way that makes most sense to us right now is saying, look, at the top, here's all of your inclusion rules, and then below it are here of all of your exclusion rules. So for something like that, you would, for login block, okay, guests can see it, check. And then down in exclusion, you would say registered users cannot see it, check. And then if I were in the registered user group, I would not see the login block. So that is very, simple, strong. It's a very subtle change that I think will create a lot of potential power for people. But the only way to do that right now is by writing some code inside of a template.
Yeah.
And that's annoying. So that's on the list of things to worry about with advanced permissions.
I know that this isn't permissions-wise, but there's been a lot of movement on that sort of core initiative that I wrote up about the third-party authentication libraries recently. There've been a lot of people posting to that.
I would hope for that.
So we would like that would be awesome to get in 5.5.2.
I would love to see that.
Light a fire under some people.
That has been a thorn in my side since we posted what we wanted to have happen last spring.
Yeah.
If we could have that, that'd be great, and we would make Facebook Connect really work well, and then I would add Facebook Connect to concrete5.org, and people would have a much easier time connecting to the community. Everyone in the office except for me hates this idea, but I think it'd be great. People do use Facebook Connect.
Oh yeah.
Just no one that works for me. But yeah, that'd be super. The other thing I know we were talking about, we'd like to see happen with advanced permissions, just waiting to pull the trigger on it, is kind of rethinking the interface around timed releases, bringing that into the, I don't think most people even know that you can do that. Because even once you turn on advanced permissions, there's this little tiny drop down in the corner. It's what am I looking at? You can change to sub-page permissions, which lets you control who can add which types of pages underneath this page, which is powerful. I forget that we can do that. And then there's also timed release settings, which let you control basically the whole permission row for a user group within a time period.
Yes.
So you could turn on guests, only guests have read access to the page in the first interface, and you go over to this other interface and say, oh yeah, but not until November. And you have embargoed that page into November for guests, but not everyone else.
Yeah, so any permission row that says the person, this user group can see this page or edit this page or whatever, will work for all time when you set it and turn it on, unless you go into this secondary interface that says, actually, I'm going to make this row apply only to this date range.
So that is for the whole page
totally makes
level.
sense when you explain it, but it is.
It doesn't inspire confidence when you're trying to stick that press release and you're up and your boss told you, if this gets out early, we're all fired. You're like, okay, I'm going to log out and double check. Hope Google isn't spidering the site right now. And it works. It's just one of those interface things. It's like, so we're thinking about that, and we're also thinking about trickling that same type of functionality down to the block area and specific block. So you can start to do things like, well, here's my weekend specials and here's my weekday specials, and have two different blocks that swap out on their own without having to change the page. Have repeating events in that. Yes. In our little G's, it'd be awesome if we would do all that.
Yeah.
So a fair amount of focus going into advanced permissions. Like I said, we're not actually writing this code right now, but there are two opportunities, both of which I hope will close, that would make this stuff happen sooner rather than later. All stuff that I think should happen, so it's just simply a matter of how quickly is it gonna. So that's something from a functional standpoint that we're thinking of for the next version. We're also trying to put a lot of energy into creating a certification plan. So figuring out exactly how that works, rethinking our training to kind of match it up, and then putting together a kind of traveling roadshow of, come spend a week in Chicago getting certified. So that is another thing that keeps getting tossed around the office. What else you got, Matt?
All right, yes. Chad Strat asks, any future articles planned with Web Designer Mag?
There have been a lot.
Sure.
Gotten to. Yeah, love to.
Yeah.
We don't have anything planned.
Nothing that we're writing at the moment.
All right, looking through here down a little further on the questions list. I got a couple more. Hope I didn't miss any, but J.A. Steele 123 asks, what happened to the feedback tab on every concrete5.org page?
We got rid of it. It died right when we inexplicably became beloved by Chinese spammers. There was this horrible period like a month ago where somewhere in we decided it was China or is it the Middle East? I tracked some of those IPs and they were coming from like Kuwait.
It's coming from inside the house.
Coming from underneath. No, we just got inundated with spam a while ago, and actually was so overwhelmingly annoying that I pulled Andy off of everything that he was doing and made him do the spam layer thing that we described in our roadmap last spring. It's something that we wanted help with it. We need this now, so it is top priority. So it works. Now we've got a Kismet running on our site, but in that kind of period of 2 weeks where every day I would wake up and have 1,000 emails in my inbox growing, feedback tab was one of them, so it got yanked. The other thing that we found is, we added that feedback tab when we relaunched the site a year ago, actually.
Yeah.
Right? No, a year ago. And it was really feedback for the site itself, like, hey, Showcases is broken, whatever. And over time, it became less and less of that and more like, I can't log into my Bluehost account. I'm like, yeah, okay. There's a lot of resources for you to find the answer to this question on your own. I don't need to pay people to send you to them. So that's why that got yanked.
So he asks, as a follow-up, what's the best way to give feedback on a particular page?
Like a functional problem with concrete5.org, post it to Chit Chat. I still monitor that, and we'll find it.
Yeah, if there's a typo you need fixed or something like that, let us know.
Post it to Chit Chat. It'll get noticed.
All right, got two more. One from Mr. Nice Gaius. He asks, is it safe to load a C5 backup that was made from before 5.5? And he says he tried this and he's getting a MySQL error.
Only if you're loading it into the same version as it was made from.
Yeah. Yeah, the same code files.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So go yoink everything, go to our downloads page, get the version that you made the backup from, install that, and then import your database. You should be fine.
Yeah.
Cool. We got one from the Owning One. They ask, what are the chances that 5.5.2 will feature Bootstrap 2?
Actually fairly good. That's funny. I was thinking about mentioning this as a thing that we might do, but it only takes us a couple hours to integrate Bootstrap with our CSS because we have to make sure that we sort of namespace it properly. We don't just drop it in. But from what I've seen, Bootstrap 2 is pretty awesome, and we may not take advantage of all of their new markup. We're certainly not going to run through all our dashboard pages and make them responsive necessarily, but definitely I imagine the next sort of major release of Concrete 5 won't be like 5.6. It'll be 5.5.2, but it'll include some feature enhancements like what Franz is talking about, and it would not surprise me that Bootstrap 2 becomes one. Definitely.
Yeah, or certainly, I wouldn't imagine that it would be such a systemic change that we would have this challenge around updating add-ons and themes and that kind of stuff.
No,
so.
they would. No, it will continue to look nice, and it will give some developers some more nice UI tools that they're supposed to.
We've already had people around the office pull stuff out of Bootstrap's GitHub repository for interface elements and use them in the different add-ons that we have. So, I don't think we'll ever just magically put it in, but trying to stay up to date with that is probably a smart idea.
Definitely.
Go Bootstrap.
So that wraps it up for questions.
Cool. Well, as always, thank you very much. We should be back next week. I don't think there's anything on the radar. So keep thinking of your questions, and we look forward to seeing you then.
Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time.